Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting esoteric, and everything else in between. Welcome uh, to the video. We're going to be talking about witchcraft beyond the basics, the secrets they don't tell you, and who was they? The other witches. That's who they is. The other witches. So welcome, welcome. Um, yeah, we're going to get into this topic. I have a nice hibiscus tea, very springy drink, hibiscus sweet tea with a bendy straw. But yeah, I want to get into it and really kind of talk this out because, like, seriously though, I think that we don't get enough conversation about that. Honestly, it's come a long way. There's a lot more discussion to me around coming into witchcraft and when you first get started, and there's so many books, there's people can't wait, it feels like almost people can't wait to help you. But when you get to the stage where you're not, you've been practicing for some time, this is no longer an issue for you, you're good, it gets a little tricky. Or if you've been or well, and I'll get into that, if you've been practicing for a while and you're just feeling kind of the blahs. So um, after you lit the candles, stirred the herbs, memorize all the phases of the moon, and when stuff sort of no longer is exciting, it doesn't excite you the way it used to, and you're standing at the threshold of kind of like, now what? And that now what can be something deeper. Spoiler. So we're going to talk about evolving essentially as a witch, and this comes from, kind of being in discontentment, and kind of being bored with your practice. You might start to feel like that. So we're covering all that. I am going to talk a little bit about my personal practice and how it sort of brought that spark back for me. So, let's settle in, get your beverage, sweet tea for me, cold tea, or just your presence. Thank you for being here. And we're going to talk about these truths that I think that it isn't talked about enough. That what's the phase that comes after witchcraft 101? So when witchcraft stops, when witchcraft stops feeling new. I don't know why I'm struggling on these words today. Yes, I do. It's hormonal. Just stay with me though. I'll don't give up on me. That first phase of being a witch is filled with wonder, right? Spells feel powerful, rituals feel transformative. Do y'all remember that? Oh my gosh, do I remember that phase? It just felt like everything was so magical. I felt like I could freaking see magic. I could breathe it. I could feel it like in the air. Do y'all remember that phase? It felt like, oh my God, it's everything felt like seriously magical. Everything was like wondrous and wonderful. And I remember that. Oh, I remember that. And I've been chasing that high ever since. No, but seriously, I remember that. But eventually the novelty does wear off, right? It can start to feel like you're going through the motions. I don't like feeling like that. Spoiler: I am the way my sun sign is set up. Like if it feels boring, I don't want to do it anymore. Like people, places, things. I'm like that about a lot of things. Like I don't want to do this no more. This is boring. This is not fun. It doesn't mean I like chaos. It doesn't mean I don't. But I need to feed off the energy. I need it to feel, so I gotta get something out of it. Otherwise, what are we doing here? This is me in my head. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Why are we lighting this candle? We don't even feel this. This is actually normal and necessary. It's the sign of maturity, not failure. Stay with me. The real magic often begins. See, they trying to. My phone is beeping. Anyway, the real magic often begins where the performance ends. Think of it like a relationship. Passion fades into intimacy and into knowing. It's kind of same with your craft. Okay. Now we're going to talk about my personal path. I'm going to talk from my firsthand experience. So, cottage witchery as spiritual reconnection. So, this is where cottage witchery enters in for me. Cottage witchery is the path of the home, the heart, and the sacred domestic. Um, that's a tough sell, I realize, for some people who look like me, because when they hear domestic, it's like, oh, what'd you get into? Um, let me just be a little bit more open about my life and my lifestyle. I'm not doing this for anybody but for me. I'm um I don't know if you look at my space and look at me. This is all me. It's all about me. This is the stage of my life. It's all about me. So, domestic doesn't mean maid. It doesn't mean slave. It doesn't mean anything negative that you could think around that. I'm not pulling on some trad wife stuff. No, that's not me. That's not my cottage witchery. So I just wanted to stop and pause in case you hear that and it gets a little like, well, what's she mean? They don't mean that. I like a nice spot. I believe there's some spiritual significance for having a nice spot. I feel it so much. I built a whole practice around it. Cottage witchery. It's not about going back to basics, but about integrating magic into the everyday. Cottage witchery is home centered. It's slow and it's personal. You don't need a forest. I know there's a lot of folks out there making you think that you need a field forest to run through. I mean, that's nice, but your kitchen, your bathroom, your doorstep are also sacred, mine included. So, fun fact, the idea of running through an open field like with the like tall grass or something like that, like wild grass, in my mind, I want to do that. In my mind, I was like, oh, that'd be great. I would share that on, my channel, and that would just be glorious. Plus, I would have the actual real life experience. Real life. I know there's field mice in there. That's freaking me out. Are there snakes? I don't really have anything but snakes, but I don't really mess with the mice like that. Like I don't want what's in the field? What's like I'm too girly. I don't want to do that. But if you clear a path, I might run through it real quick. That's about it. I'm not running barefoot through no open field. Oh, I don't know. No, no. Did you give me something first? Did I take something to calm the anxiety? Then maybe you can get that out of me. That's about it. Examples, for instance, for my practice, to kind of give you an idea of like the magic in every day and how this kind of connects to, my contentment within my path. Lighting an incense or burning my herbal blends, but with intention. Cooking as a ritual. This has been a big one for me. Cooking as a ritual, a beautiful ritual of creativity and love and whatever intention I'm putting into whatever the final product is. Everything from doing something where I'm stirring clockwise or counterclockwise. Certain herbs that I add. Again, all with intention. It's become something very beautiful to me. Using my cleaning routine as a spiritual reset, like wipe clear the counters, that kind of clears the chaos, it clears the crazy. Including in my own head, my own thoughts. Like if the place is cluttered, my mind is cluttered. It's like I connect those and then I get to work. Creating a cozy space for my spirit to rest and recharge. This is definitely what I got going on. Here, the primary bath, honestly, all the spaces. The whole point is to have a reciprocal relationship. The decor is not just decor; it's more than that for me. Um, Creating birthday altars and other celebratory altars. Specifically, not even just for me. I have a son and I have a daughter. They're adults, but still, I still do this not just to celebrate them, but to charge the house with joy. Um, think of celebrations. Make some stuff up. Just celebrate. I'm about to get into the concept of a half birthday. I already like the midpoint to Halloween. I kind of missed the actual like date, but like I'm feeling the vibes of summerween. Some people get really offended by that. You love this idea, right? um, I love the idea of celebrating. Life is not that long. It feels like it in those early mothering parenting days with little kids. It felt long. Um, Once you get sometime in your 30s, it becomes very mid 30s, you become very aware, shit, this is going by real quick. Like I remember just being 18. Then you remember being 25. Then you remember and now you're 35. You like, I feel like I'm in an impasse. And then the roller coaster just takes off after that. I don't know what else to tell you. Like it really just takes off. I was getting myself together this morning and I'm looking at myself and I'm like, doing my skincare and all that. And I was like, we really in here. We really just got older. Like I'm still that girl. She's still here. Some other iterations on top of it, but the OG, like the real Mika is still in here. And it's just amazing sometimes how fast, like I'm freaked out sometimes how fast things have gone by. Um, live, whatever that means. Take care of yourself, live. I can't say that enough, but I do have a question if you guys are interested. What's one everyday task that you think could be turned into a spell with just a little intention? I'm talking everything from the moment you kind of open your eyes. Maybe it's you say something, I don't know, a prayer or gratitude or affirmation that counts. Um, what do you think? What everyday task can you turn into a spell with just a little bit of intention? Not a big thing, just a little bit. Let me know. If you're catching this on a replay, tell me in the comments. I'm very curious. Maybe you can get some other people ideas too. This is how you build. It's every day. Morning coffee, exactly. Morning coffee is it. Ooh, you can turn that into something. It's from honestly, if you're somebody who, if it's a caffeinated coffee, what you can, I mean, you can speak a little charm to kind of activate the caffeine. If it's decaf, you can speak a charm in that regards. Um, get into what coffee's from, the bean itself, something grounding if you want to go with that. You can take it up from the stirring to the counter to the clock. You do a lot. Washing my face is a way to quantum jump. Boom. I love that too. I love that. Those are good ideas. And a lot of people don't think of it like that. So you understand, oh, well, you mean just wash my, yeah, to quantum jump. That's lovely. Now I want to talk about the spiritual burnout. It's real. Spiritual burnout is definitely real. I have been there more than once, sadly. I hate that that's the case. You want to just stay in a high vibration all the time, but that's not true for all of us. You say you draw sigils with syrups in my coffee. You are on fire. Oh, you are on fire. I love you. Those are great ideas. Um, Honestly, you want to take it a step further. So the syrup, so me being the cottage witch, I'll take it a step further. Making the syrup. So the process of using some kitchen magic when you're in a process of making the syrup. So regardless if it's just like a morning you wake up, you didn't say the words, you didn't do the things, but you using that same syrup, you already got the magic because you already pre-activated it. Just saying. In the preparation. There you go. You do? Okay, cool. All right. Spiritual burnout. The pressure to always be magical. It's kind of exhausting, especially when your practice is shared. It doesn't have to be like you're like me talking to a screen, talking to the internet, but even amongst your folks, your people, your family, or whoever, people kind of like always having to be on, um, always magical because even though you didn't mean it to be performative, you were just being you. Sometimes the way other people perceive it, right? It's a performance to them. All things incorporated help me to stay aligned when I'm not feeling my best. I know that's right. I know that's right. My mantra. Um, it's tiresome always. This always the pressure, like I said, to always present magical, have a magical answer. Let me tell you how this comes up for me personally. And if you're watching, and I know and I love you and I talk to you regularly, I don't mean you. I meant at certain phases. This is not the current phase I'm in. When people they want to tell you, you got people in your life, they're trying to tell you about their dreams. They want you to tell them. It's not like a normal situation where they're telling you about their dream and they just want you to like, oh girl, what you think? No, it's like, which what you think. They're talking to the witch. They're not talking just to the friend. They want you to decipher that dream. When a bunch of the people you know, including yourself, life is life, and everybody's kind of going through something, and then they everybody's kind of wanting a reading. They want you to come. They want to kind of talk it out and vent, but not just vent for the friend. They kind of want you to like work a little something, work a little magic, a little hojo, a little something, mojo. They make you feel like a parlor trick. Yes. Um, I don't take it personal in the moment because I realize if you have people who are magical adjacent, they're not really living the life. They don't do anything, but like they cool with you and they believe in you. You know what I mean? A lot of us have people like that in our life. So, you know, um, that can cause burnout if you're doing this all the time. If you're decoding for them all the time and you're helping them all the time. And I'm not saying, listen, I like those are the people that's my community. So I'm gonna rock with them and I'm gonna do what I can for them. It gets to a point. It gets to a point for some of us, and that's usually not the only reason for the spiritual burnout. You was already going through something. That's just a layer on top. So like that's not the cause in most cases, depending on how you present to the world, by the way, but that could be enough. Now mind you, somebody like me, I run a spiritual business. So I run a spiritual business, then I got this aspect, then I got my own stuff, then I got other stuff. It's all of it. It's just a piece. It's not like the main culprit for the spiritual burnout. So I don't want to say that, but y'all know what I'm talking about. It can be exhausting now. Um, Not every spell will feel powerful. Not every ritual will move mountains. That's a tough thing after a while, especially when you've experienced, I kind of joked about it, that high of the magical life in those early days. Those spells did really feel powerful. They felt huge. Those rituals felt like something from the movies. Like you felt it. Maybe nothing physically happened, but it felt like it. Going as you continue your journey, and if you are a true practitioner, y'all know what I'm talking about. And I just talked about the little everyday spells. They don't feel like those, or rituals specifically, don't feel like it's moving everything. Like your whole life is changing because you stirred your coffee a certain way. We got to kind of come to terms with neutral doesn't mean negative. It doesn't mean it didn't work. Just because you felt neutral, um, I liken it to, how in the movies, let's take some movie magic, movies, TV shows, and there's a witch. And do you see how there's 2 points, like when they're just doing their everyday magic, it looks effortless, right? So they want to stir the glass, the spoon in the cup. So they just look at it, or maybe they use their finger and it just does it, right? Um, it's just a task and they just move on. It's just their talent. Or it's their power. It's the same power you have as like breathing. I kind of liken it to that after a while. You've I'm not saying you shouldn't feel anything, but there are times it just feels like breathing. It just feels like every other function that you do. And I don't think that's a bad thing. That's just kind of a neutral. It doesn't mean something's wrong, especially if those rituals are actually working for you and to whatever your intention is, especially if that spell is actually getting results, right? Spiritual burnout feels like apathy, definitely. Yeah, guilt, or even resentment toward sometimes your tools or your rituals. That's a tough one. That's not going to be for everybody, but I've witnessed it. The apathy definitely was me. Guilt, a little bit. I kind of understand how some people feel like that. This is just kind of me cumulatively over the years, kind of being observant and also being someone talks to and tell me about this. The resentment, you would be shocked. The resentment comes in, but it can be a symptom of spiritual burnout, not instead of you kind of thinking of something else. But we can get into that. Signs of burnout sometimes is forcing rituals. Been there. Jealousy of other witches' aesthetic. I'm pause on that one. It's on the way. It's all about our perception, right? Right? I know what you're talking about. um, being jealous of another witch's aesthetic. This is more prevalent now in the days of social media. Um, it's tough because I don't think jealousy and envy are. Some people make it seem like, oh, it's the worst thing you could be. It just depends what you do with it. These are just emotions. We've all are capable of envy. It depends on what you do. Do you transmute that energy? When I feel the little green-eyed monster rising up in me, because it doesn't sit well on my spirit. Because it goes against everything I believe about myself and all the things I've told myself, all those affirmations, all those messages from my ancestors, from, Oshun, from, the spirits I work with, Aphrodite. Like it doesn't, like there's a glitching happening when the envy comes up. Like it doesn't feel right. I'm trying to process it. um, and basically, what I typically come out to is always like, well, if you really want it, you can have it. Or, you know, I mean, I don't, the thing, okay, so let's talk about the envy. If you said then you transmute it, exactly. If I see, I'm trying to think what would really get me right now. One of the things that always kind of got me, I guess it still could, um, and I'll tell you how I work with it. If I see someone has like a witchy space that is like all the things that I kind of covet a little bit, and maybe I don't have it, and like, and it's not usually an item, it's probably the whole structure, like the way the house is actually set up or the room is set up, the home itself, like they live in something that looks like a witch's house for real. um like you ever see the stuff people like there, okay, boom. There is I don't know if she's on YouTube, but I think she is on YouTube, but I know she's on TikTok. Um, she has a home, I think she's in Salem, Massachusetts, and she's always doing shots from like this attic room. And it's just this huge space, and she's a witch. She's a beautiful woman too. And she's like has been working on like fixing up the attic to turn it into a big witchy space. Like I look at that and I'm in awe and I love it. And there is a little, I wouldn't say jealousy, but like envy, like, damn, I wish I had that. Like, you start it, that's how it starts. And it's like, damn, I wish I had that. Oh, if I had all that space. And it's like she does like an overhead shot, and you'll see like she'll have all the candles all on the floor. And it's like something you see like in a movie or like on Pinterest. And I follow her and I love it. You can like something and still envy. You can like the person and still envy. Um, and that aesthetic, that witch's aesthetic. So yeah, I could definitely like it can there's like a line where you're admiring and you're inspired by to it gets like, man, why can't I have that? And then that's when I start processing it and I think, one, Heifer, you don't want to live in Salem, Massachusetts. You don't want to live in a big old house like that because it comes with its own set of issues. You like new construction. You love a cute cottage. You've had the two-story big house. Hi, Gemstones. You like what you like. Like you like, yeah, you like that too. But living realistically, like it's drafty. You don't want the costs associated with this. You do not want to live on the East Coast. You live in the freaking desert. Houses like that are not the norm here. And all the freaking clean and right. You got to keep it dust clean. Definitely got to get an exterminator because you always going to have something you're going to have to worry about because it get cold and things from outside want to come in. Like, I don't want none of that. So, like, I start really talking it out in my head. Like, you sure you want that? Spider, oh gosh. Like I don't want any. I try to make my peace with spiders as long as they're not like really big. I mean, I don't want them crawling on me, but I always think somebody told me spiders eat bugs. So like learn to get along with them. So I try to have that idea. I'm the spider catcher in the house. There, my daughter is weird about that. Very much adult daughter. That's not her jam. No, I do the insects. That's me. It doesn't freak me out. I mean, I don't love it, but it doesn't freak me out. They jump. Yes, we had we've had that. We've had that, and I've had to it was a test of wills. Mine against the jumping spider. And then there's this cricket thing that jumps. I don't, you know what? Call up the exterminator. Come through, please. The lawn people, they take care of the house. Like, come through, fix this, because I can't do it. I can't do this but once. Like, I remember I was sweating. Like, you become hyper focused. Your eyesight has to change. Like, it's like you it's an attack. You got to do something about this. You got to have the right tools, something to get it. The slipper, like, it's a thing. Anyway, needless to say, I don't want that life. I really don't want that. Used to be a Floridian. The geckos, like, I can't do that life at this state, although we do have geckos here, but not as plentiful as they were in Florida. And I've lived Naples, Boca, Boynton, and Jacksonville, all various stages. But seriously though, the jealousy thing is when you start doing that, and what happens is, like, to take this more seriously, when you get to the point of the envy and the jealousy, using my example. So imagine if I kind of just stayed with that feeling, and now I'm scrolling and I see somebody else and I want that. Hello. Oh, you say you're late. Hope you. I'm well, thank you. Hope you are too. But seriously, I if I stay in that feeling of envy and just getting more distressed and less content with my situation, come on, how is that gonna think about? Y'all know how that works going forward. You're just becoming more disenchanted with the whole thing, and that can, and if you're still practicing, ooh, that's not a good look. Kind of coming in. What are you sending out into the universe? What are you telling your ancestors? Like, what are you saying to spirit? What are you saying to your higher self? Um, and then you just, and nothing's working. And you see how this could spiral into something else. Like, you gotta process the envy, the jealousy, and all that sort of stuff. And it's real. I don't belittle that. I literally, I'm actually sharing a real example because I remember, and it was like around fall last year. This isn't recent. And I'm looking, I'm like, damn, I wish I had that. No, you don't. No, I don't. Once I no, no, I don't. I don't want that. It's nice to look at. I don't want that in real life. Then also, signs of burnout is feeling overwhelmed by the shoulds. The shoulds. I should be doing a ritual every moon phase. I should be putting out water for the full moon and charging my crystals. I should have crystals. I should wear more black. Should I become more goth? Should I become, you know, whatever, should I dress in this color? Should I, like the shoulds, or, um, I shouldn't share. Now I'm going to take this and make it more personalized for me. Um, Maybe I should show every time I do a ritual or spell. I don't have to show the whole thing, but I should show it. That'd be great content. No, it won't. It'd be great content maybe for other. It won't be for me because I don't want to put that energy. People, you know how I just talk about the envy and all that? I don't want people to be sending that energy from the image that I'm putting out there. Uh, Usually what I've shared, I've already reaped the benefits of it. You're not going to get it in real time. Got to slurp the words back up before the universe moves on our behalf. I know. I know. But yeah, those shoulds could take you out a little bit, but they're a sign of burnout usually because now you're second guessing, you're doubting, there's less confidence. Like, it's a sign. And then I just kind of want to remind you, you don't have to perform witchcraft to be a witch. Now, I do have questions over time, but that's a question for me. That would be for me. If I continue, which I've had slumps, I like to call it, which is technically burnout, where I hadn't casted anything. Then there are times I only worked within my coven. I realized like I only did something when we did something. I really didn't do much in between. And usually that's usually like, it's usually another reason. Like I said, it's not just one thing. Perimenopausal over here. Hormones, like the apathy thing, I was really going. That was like last year. starting around this time last year, it's just I felt like I didn't have flavor. Like I you tasted food, but it doesn't have flavor. Just multiply that across the board with everything in life. Like it's just the flavor. Like I know I'm hungry and I'm eating, but it don't have no flavor. Like nothing tastes like life, the things I do, the things I found enjoyment in. It just didn't hit right. It didn't taste the same. I didn't feel much from it. So this definitely extended into witchcraft. So yeah, maybe I didn't perform my witchcraft. I didn't practice my witchcraft uh quite the same. But I was still very much a witch and I knew I would come back and I just allowed it to be. So let's get into that. Let me read these here. You said, I put sigils on my images on the transparent layer. Ooh, I love that. Added protection, sunflower and thistle. I saw something the other day. If being hard on yourself worked, it would have worked by now. Ooh, love that. Right? I love that too. If being hard on yourself worked, it would have worked by now. Beating yourself up, calling yourself names. Sometimes like nobody's gonna do you bad like yourself inside your head. You're right. Slumps happen. I try not to overthink. Right. So let's talk about how I deal with it. Rest without guilt. Still working on this. Had a lifetime of really bad programming, even in the midst of breakthroughs, enlightenment, and all this other stuff. It a lot of yeah. The pop culture princess says yes. Oh, that was you that said that. I'm realized I'm reading it and didn't realize I thought it just popped up again. Anyway, but seriously, resting without guilt, letting the candle stay unlit for a while, not burning any herbs. You see the freaking moon. Yeah, you was running an errand that night and you saw it and you just kind of look up like, I see you, and you just keep driving. Like sometimes it's okay to just fall into it. Just rest. Just close your eyes. This might be for a phase, a moon phase, from a new moon to a full moon. It might be from a new moon to several moons later. And then, maybe you get to come back, but maybe you needed that rest and just existing without doing anything else. Sometimes you have to do that. Reread, I talked about this before, reread your old journal entries or like your book of shadows, your grimoires. Um, excuse me, remind yourself of how far you've come or which is where you were. Remember, I talked about in the beginning all that excitement in the very beginning of your practice and how that was so fun. You remember that feeling? Hopefully, you wrote some of that stuff down, or you took pictures, or for some of us, maybe we didn't journal a whole bunch of stuff, but you got them in your phone. Go back, go look at those pictures that you took of that candle, or that altar you set up, and you just took a picture of it. Go look at that sort of stuff, or if you did post it on one of these platforms, go back and look at those videos, look, or that picture or something like that. Just go to immerse yourself in the past a little bit, with no intention of doing anything in a moment, but just look, just revisit. Another one is how to deal with this is just sitting at your altar. um you're not doing anything, just let it hold you. Just let it hold you for a minute. Just sit there for a minute. It's not about connecting. You don't have to light anything. You don't have to press play, and just sit there for a minute. Close your eyes. You don't even got to stare at them. Just sit there for a minute. Close your eyes. It's not about meditating. I'm just asking you to sit for a couple of minutes. Um, it can help. You'd be surprised. It can help. Just try that. Um, And when I mean let it hold you, let it hold you. I feel that way about my practice as a cottage witch. One of the things I do, I talk about the energy of the home, the spirit of the home. I extend it from an altar to the whole space, the property. And I let it hold me. I've been putting that energy, I've been emitting energy and vibrations and bringing other things in and working with tools to do all of that. Now let it hold me. Let me just cozy up and sit on this couch here with my favorite blanket A little something, something. Maybe I'm snacking, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm just being, existing, and just y'all. This is something I do. I'll just sit in that space. Sometimes I just look around. Sometimes I close my eyes for a minute and I just exist. You know, it helps. It helps. No guilt, no pressure, no meditation, deep breathing. Just sitting, just staring off into whatever. Another thing is reconnect with why you started this path. Was it power? Was it for healing? Was it for belonging? Reconnect with the why can kind of help you with the burnout. Sometimes we get so, we learn all the things, we acquire the knowledge, and then some, and we have books and notes and people and all these experiences, and sometimes we kind of need to get back to the like to the, it, for our just for ourselves on why did you do this? What drew you? Why? What was it for? And this might be something you can answer, once you maybe cast that first spell and it worked. How'd that make you feel? Did you like that feeling? And I talked about chasing that high, so to speak, but that high, like, let's get into that, because that's the power, by the way. If that's what it is for you, do you like that power? And maybe we need to work through that work, and that's going to be different for everybody, what that power is. Was it for healing? um Work through that, and see how we can kind of bring that into the present and the belonging. I do think there's a good amount of people, the belonging is actually very real. Power, yes. Healing, yes. But the belonging, finally feeling like you're okay. I like to talk about, a lot of us have not, like, I'm not like the other girl syndrome. I do. I don't, I don't always want to be like the other girls. So, whatever that is, even though you don't, sometimes it feels so good to belong like to find other people who are like that and click with them, which is, I know, ironic, but to find the other girls who are like that, who basically, we don't want to go with the norm. We don't want to be the normies. We want to be on the fringe. Maybe we don't dress like it. Maybe we don't sound like it. And you don't immediately identify it with us, but we don't want to be like all the other girls. And all the other girls are like the normies, the muggles. We want to be different. um and that sense of belonging, of like finding your tribe, finding other people who are kind of like that, um that's really powerful too. um that could be worked through. I'm going to tell you to find some people, like, connect, and the internet does count. It does count. Sometimes it's the comment section of a really good, video or TikTok or something like that. Other times it's in a group. Maybe it's a paid group. I don't know. You got to find where you fit in. We are the weirdos, Mister. Exactly. Exactly. Um, okay, so I invite you all to pick one magical task this week. So it's Wednesday. So from Wednesday to Wednesday, that feels nourishing, but not productive. Like, just nourishing, just something that nourishes your spirit, your soul. Or maybe it's food. So maybe it's a little kitchen magic, a little something like that. Or maybe it's your bath. Or maybe it's a hug, cuddles, pets, your babies, your significant other, your good girlfriends, your good friends, not productive, nourishing, a good conversation, somebody you've been meaning to catch up with, non-magical or not, whatever that is. But that can become a magical task, because what comes from out of that, by the way, because it sounds like mundane activities, but these things become magical because what you get from it. It's like you can't see it, you can't understand it completely. You just know that you felt totally different. There's been a shift in energy. That's magic, right? But an actual magical task as well may, if you want to kind of make it more magical, like lighting a candle, something, and speaking a charm that is for healing and for nourishment, that could be your task as well. So let's talk about walking the talk, living magic, walking the talk. So as you grow in your craft, it's not about how much you know, it's how much you embody. This is why I'm not being an old meanie when I talk about those who do present themselves as being very knowledgeable and they have the whole aesthetic down, whatever that is that they're trying to present, and they're coming with rapid fire facts and information. And they're like, I don't know, not old enough to maybe have had a lot of lived experience, but they have read a lot and they've watched a lot. From their perspective, they feel like they are embodying all of that. But it's skin deep. Because you have to live long enough to really embody it. That's where the concept, when any other culture or any other like spiritual system that's been around for quite some time, elders come into play. Um, I'm noticing a lot of the new adults don't like that so much. They kind of want to be considered the elder at like, the old age of 25, they want to be considered the elder. There, and I'm not making fun of people or talking about one specific person. Unfortunately, I've seen this across the board. It don't matter the ethnicity either. I'm not just talking about one person or group or anything like that. Um, Experience counts. Now, this is not to say that the person who's been practicing for 5 years, they started 20 to 25. Of course, that's 5 years experience. So I'm not like coming for that. Um, and making light of their experience or saying it doesn't count. I'm not saying that. But there's something to be said for having decades long experience versus your 5. I'm just saying. That's enough time to do it, learn it, go through the same phase you went through, have slumps, multiple burnouts, come back in, become even more powerful, lock in with some new information, enough time for your psychic abilities to kick in as going more into another phase of your life, um, for you to interact with your ancestors differently because your mind's different as you get older. I'm just saying. But even if you are a younger person and you're watching this, I will say practicing versus just reading. Um, Less trying to teach other people, more internalizing, letting it knock ahead and around in your brain a little bit and in your heart and your spirit, and trying to process it all first. Yeah. Another thing is, there is no secret spell book that you unlock once you reach the advanced level. um there is no, yeah, that's not a thing. I feel like people think it is. There's no secret thing that's going to happen like, and now it's all unfolded. And I think I blame movies and books for kind of promoting that, even though people may not actually say that. People really do believe that, like, when you get to this advanced level, it means like there's something power, like something in a movie, something in fiction is going to occur, and that's just not real. That's not it. The real work becomes emotional discipline, self trust, and discernment. I'm going to repeat these things. The real work becomes emotional discipline. That is hard. Emotional discipline in the face of everything that's happening in the world, then in your life, then within you. Emotional discipline is hard. Self trust, learning to trust yourself, learning to believe that your decisions are your decisions alone. I know sometimes we're a lot of us, we have partners in life, and we're like, no, I'm making the decision from us. No, this you start with you, and then you can branch out. But like that self trust, especially if you're a practitioner, you're a witch, and you're in a marriage, and understanding when your witchy senses are telling you something, to believe that. Now, if you're in a situation with a partner who is anti, or not anti, but just like going against it. They want to use their logic and they want to go against what you know to be true, even though you have proof and history of being kind of intuitive and right. um, Do you know how hard that is, by the way? I've been there. Here's what I'm going to tell you in a situation like that. It's not about just do what you want because you know better. You're the witch. Maybe you are that type. Maybe that's the type of situation you have. But for some of us, we didn't take that approach. That's where the practitioner comes into play. Excuse me. I'm petitioning my ancestors, spirit guides, and this partners as well, to kind of work this situation. That's where you want to pull in some additional help. You want to pull in the help of the ancestors, not to necessarily change the mind and the will of the person, but you could work on that too. But the path of least resistance. Instead, you want to change the energy around the whole situation. And I would work a lot of those spells because I unfortunately was in that type of situation. So I would try to change. Sometimes the results took longer because you're dealing with this other person's energy. But if I didn't trust myself and I just let this thing rock, like it could have blew up. I'm ignoring what I know to be true. I'm ignoring my intuition. Like whenever I've ignored my intuition, it's always been catastrophic. Knowing knowing in my heart, knowing in my spirit, in my gut, I'm supposed to do this or it's supposed to go this way or sit this one out, whatever the situation is, or being revealed to me, my higher self, my own intuition, that this person is presenting, dishonestly or something like that. And this is from everything to do with like money. I've moved around a lot, so like knowing where to live over time, the person that I was with, they recognized that I might, maybe they should start listening, but that was because, they fell on their face. The problem is when you're in a marriage or a relationship or whatever, when your partner falls on their face, you're holding their hand, so you fall too. You may not face plant because you knew. So you at least know the whole, to prepare for a softer landing than they, because they want to just, not listen. Discernment. Discernment is, maybe this is not for me. Discernment, talking in your practice. Um, Discernment is understanding. I like the aspects of this particular witchy path. I want to connect with this, or I want to see as far as I could go with it. Discernment is realizing, okay, I've gone as far as I want to go with this. I shared on this channel years ago, like going into like getting like understanding like dragons and that whole thing. Like I took that as far as I needed to take it and learn what I need to learn. That was my discernment. Imagine if I wasn't utilizing that and I just kept going. It, First of all, I would have had burnout because I just, it was no more connection with that. But there's a lot of things I feel that way about in my practice. I'm just like seriously thinking about this. There's a lot of things, but that's discernment of knowing, okay, that's enough. I've got, I've walked this path as far as I need to walk it. And I'm good. I'm not backtracking. I'm just gonna jump over to something else. That doesn't mean I'm flaky or I don't know how to commit to something. I discerned this is where it needs to end. The biggest shift, I would say, less focus on tools and more on energy and awareness. I like my tools, don't get me wrong. I do like the stuff. I've talked about this before. I like having the witchy stuff. It's fun. I like it. Makes me happy. However, over time, there's been less focus on tools. And like I said, being aware, that's where the psychic stuff comes in, and that's where you start getting more in tune with that. And there is something that I am firsthand experience, and I'm also hearing others as well, from as you get older, something does happen and you are a little, not a little, but for someone's a lot more open to the psychic stuff. And you find maybe you don't have to focus on the tools as much. This just comes with time. Um, yeah, I'll just say that. It evolves. It evolves. You don't know it until you're there, until you're doing it. That's the best way to explain it. You don't realize it. The dreams, but it's not even just about the dreams. I used to talk about the whispers, the little messages that you get where it's not even your voice. Um, and it's not like you're having a dialogue with this like voice or something like that. I want to be clear, but it's just like these thoughts, but it sounds like a whisper. It's quiet, it's not loud, it's not anxiety inducing. It's just a whisper, just a little message. Like you find you have more of those as you get older. And I think it's because as you get older, a lot of us things get a little less chaotic in your life. The kids are older, things start slowing down. So you can finally be at a place where you can hear the voice, you can hear the messages. Okay, so you say born a call bearer, things have definitely evolved over the years. Okay, things are more real. Yeah, more real. Yeah, I like that too. Things are more real. I'm not, it's less about making it real or trying to tap into my imagination so it becomes this thing. It just is. Yeah. Living magic means aligning your day to day actions with your spiritual beliefs. We kind of talked about that. Like, don't just cast a love spell, right? Treat yourself like someone worthy of love. I don't hear a lot about that. Treat yourself, and that starts with the things that a lot of us kind of shirk off, like, oh, that's not self-love, that's just capitalism, just buying stuff and doing stuff, blah 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 blah. Right, it is. Two things can be true at the same time. Go on and get that sugar scrub, that salt scrub, and scrub that skin, get that layer off. And as you do so, believe that you're shedding old skin. Tie that into a spiritual situation, especially for those of us who can't do spiritual baths because you don't have a bathtub. I like scrubs for that purpose. It's doing that and enchant those scrubs. Even if you've gone with the Bath and Body Works and you got that, and if you were, I would suggest the eucalyptus spearmint because it kind of fits the purpose. But you can speak your charm over that, or you can make your own. But yeah, treat yourself as someone worthy of love. Start with that bathing process and then build on it, speaking those affirmations. Um, the we talk about kitchen magic, but what you prepare and even the process of eating. This is where the love witch comes into play. This is where the glamour witch comes into play, or just that practice itself. What you do is you just everything's a little bit more intentional when it comes to beauty. Stop thinking that means negative and it's performative for the male gaze. It can be, but it's for you. It's for you. It starts with you. Attract before we get to attraction, I'm gonna talk about self-love first. In my Book of Shadows for the Love Witch, that entire thing was born from healing, and it's more about building within you than about attracting somebody else or keeping somebody or doing anything with somebody else. It starts with you because that's where the real magic, you are the magic, that's where it starts. So make yourself someone who is worthy of this love. And it starts, yes, with the external, and then we could build in. For some of us, if we're a little crusty, maybe get through the crust, literally and figuratively, before we start shining and evolving and being our beautiful selves. Don't just work with abundance herbs. Budget, honor your finances, like a sacred exchange. And it doesn't mean you don't still, because listen, I'm still going to spend some money now to have a little fun. I still like a good shopping day because that's just fun. But I make sure I budget. And when it's not uh, possible because I'm taking care of some other things, my money is going in this direction. I'll share something with you guys. So for me, with my Book of Shadows, the investment to make sure that I have my stock available. That was an investment, and there's magic all around this, of course, because I'm me and I'm a witch. I'm a practitioner, and I'm selling magical goods. The Book of Shadows. Um, so why, if I in my situation, so if I'm budgeting to make sure I have the stock and I have the things, why would I take my money and say, "Oh, I'm gonna go, do some fun thing with the money and spend it all over here on a shopping spree or something like that." How is that honoring when I've done these abundance, prosperity spells and things like that? Why would I betray that? Right? So a sacred exchange. So I take my finances, I take my money, my wealth, and all of that, um, in a way where I look at it like I know that holding on to everything and kind of like hoarding and things like that, that's not healthy. And it's kind of coming from a lack of thinking, oh, I'm never gonna get it. It's like I gotta hold on to it. I don't do that. So this is what I mean about budgeting and honoring your finances. So I don't do that. But also I'm also trying to be bring a little conservatism in my spending as well, because I believe that is like the budgeting and honoring, to allow for more to come to a flow to come in. I want to, some goes out. I know some is coming in. Um, I'm not reckless is my point. I was just saying, if you're working with abundance herbs, you're doing candle magic, you're lighting that green candle, like remember to honor the money as well as it comes and goes. That's all I'm saying. Um, Now, cottage witchery taught me that magic is not separate from the mundane. This was kind of a big deal for me coming into this practice. It is the mundane, um, transformed by care and presence. So remember, I told you sometimes I'll just sit, and when I do that, and this was actually recent, and I just kind of look around, and in all the items, all the things, I remember the money spells, the prosperity spells that I was able to buy all the things. I remember the gratitude work. I remember the rituals. I remember all that when I look at the individual items and the things around my home, the space itself. And yeah, that feels magical in itself, just doing that. But that's part of so for others, you might just see decorations and things like that. And it's like, or, oh, so you just have this, like, how is that spiritual? The mundane is the magic, because it all has a story behind it. There's some energy behind it. That's the magic. Um, Magic isn't what you do. It's who you become when you believe the world is alive. So when I talk about like spirits and you talk about the fae and fairies and things like that, like when you're open to believing that, and this is kind of like the takeaway, when you're open to that, boy, like it's all alive. Um, it kind of expands you in that burnout phase. It kind of expands, just think everything's freaking alive around here. Don't go by just what your eyes see, the naked eye sees. Like what they say, I'm gonna get real cliche. Use your third eye to recognize that. Lean into science because it backs up what I'm saying about everything being alive. Everything is vibrating. So returning to what you already know. We know witchcraft isn't linear. It's more spiral. You come back to some holidays or Sabbaths, the same tarot cards, the same herbs, but each time you're different. That's what's different. You're different. Recognizing you're the one that's different. This is why it matters what you've kind of been put, like the energy of just practicing magic itself. What once felt basic now holds new meaning. So that full moon isn't just for charging crystals, it becomes a time to assess your emotional cycles. Returning to the beginner rituals, it's not regression, it's integration. Sometimes the most advanced thing you can do is to deeply recommit to something simple. So how do I kind of with that alone, like in the past, I've done recommitment ceremonies for myself. A recommitment, yeah, a ceremony, to a path, to a deity, uh, to a cause, or whatever it is that I'm doing. I've done and you can make it elaborate as you want, but that's something. Um, if you're in a position where you have people, a tribe, a coven of friends that also practice with you, it adds more layer to it as well. Um, I used to do simple candle spells, like for clarity, right? After years of more complex rituals, I've come back to the candle, like the same color, the same chant, but it hits different because I've changed. Even a tarot spread that I've done, it's different because my awareness is different. So like making moon water felt like that's a I hate the term baby witch, but some, like it's witchcraft 101, right? Um, but not if you're infusing it with herbs and you set it out during astrological transits. Use your phone apps to figure that out, by the way, if you don't know, like, because I still rely on technology. Please don't discard. I like people like, oh, you should just know. I listen, my brain, I got a lot of knowledge. I can't hold it all. So I'm gonna use this app and it's gonna tell me. But use it in intentional ways throughout the week, that same moon water. So that's like building on, witchy 101, and you're building it further out. So why does this matter? So the spiral sort of reminds us that magic isn't about collecting more knowledge, but about deepening what we already know. It invites reflection, like what have I outgrown? What still holds power for me? What am I being called to relearn? Those when you think about it like that, now like you don't have time to be kind of disenchanted or even bored with your craft or overwhelmed, because you're like really thinking, well, what have I outgrown? And sometimes we need to ask ourselves that question. Maybe that's the source of the burnout, because you outgrew some stuff, and it's okay. It doesn't mean you outgrew witchcraft, but maybe you outgrew witchcraft as you've been practicing it. For me, that iteration was cottage witchery, understanding the magic in the mundane. So beforehand, I would have called myself an eclectic witch. And I mean, I guess that still could be true, but um, understanding the mundane and the magical aspects kind of really like it broadened everything for me. Also recognizing the magic was always working, that the spells I was casting, it was working when you start to see that in the mundane. And then recognizing that shift for me, well, what still holds power for me? Honestly, having some level of structure around my practice holds power for me. What am I being called to relearn? And that's a bigger that's a bigger answer. I'm not gonna be able to answer that right now. And I'm just talking about like when I was going through this. Um, this growth for me, kind of changing my practice. But I do have a question. Is there a spell, tool, or ritual from your early days that's been calling you back lately? Like, and what do you think it might be teaching you now? So, is there a spell, a tool, or ritual, something from them early days of your practice that might you feel like it's calling to you? Or now that I'm asking a question, is something that pop into your head that you hadn't been thinking about? Let me know. If you don't mind sharing. Again, this helps other people sometimes as well, because they couldn't think of something and then they saw what you and they're like, wait, that resonates. So that might help. Now I want to talk about quiet power and how that's still power. So this is also kind of my takeaway from practicing as a cottage witch. So you don't have to post every ritual, every spell, every crystal grid that you did. This is definitely for us who share on social media. You don't have to. Some of the strongest magic is done in silence, in your pajamas, under the covers. Your craft is sacred even when it's not on display. We kind of had this conversation recently in my coven. We talked about that. And this is also very true. It doesn't everything doesn't have to be on display. Listen, I love sharing, and I'm a talker. I just talked about this earlier on the Discord channel. I am a certified yapper. So like I'm over. I wanted to wrap this up in an hour, and here I am. I'm a certified yapper. This is who I am. But that doesn't mean I need to share every dang on thing. Um, and it's sacred. And there are times I have to stop myself and say, hey, keep that for yourself. You don't need to display it, whether verbally or just physically showing it. Don't measure your worth as a witch by how aesthetic your practice looks. This is probably the biggest takeaway I can tell anybody. Um, don't measure your worth as a witch by how aesthetic your practice looks or how non-aesthetic it looks. Like, don't do that. I can't express enough how much your feelings matter. This is a practice where what you feel matters. It's not the doctrine, the dogma, the blind faith. How do you feel? What are you feeling around this? What energy are you picking up? What's your vibe? What's the vibes telling you? Like, it's cool to vibe here. We can get woo woo. Like, sometimes I think people forget you're allowed to be woo woo. You're allowed to sound, I guess, like how other people mock it. You can lean into it. Just be careful who you're talking to. Maybe just have these as inside conversations. Hopefully you find people you can discuss this with. Plug my Discord channel, safe place for leap taken, safe place for witches. There's a link in the description. You can talk woo woo like that there. You're safe there. But yeah, don't worry about how things look so much, but how you feel. Witchcraft isn't a trend. It's not a race. It's a lifelong conversation between you and the unseen. So the deeper you go into the craft, the simpler and more powerful it can become. No flashy ritual can replace your quiet knowing, although flashy rituals are fun. No spell jar can replace your lived truth, although I do like a good, spell jar occasionally. If you're in a phase of uncertainty or boredom with your craft, trust that it's part of your evolution and just let it unfold. It let it happen. I used to tell my kids it's okay to be bored. They didn't like it. My mom said that to me sometimes. It's okay to be bored. And then I would take it a step further. Sometimes some of your best inventions or your some really great ideas for the time can come out of boredom. Think about when you were a kid, you were bored and you just like started doing stuff. I mean, they might have got you in trouble. Some of us, we didn't do the most the best things, but it was fun in the moment. It made sense in the moment. Freeze tag. We just all sitting around. It's like, let's chase each other and build bases and stuff like that. Like, just like, it's okay to be bored. It's okay to just let it happen, let it unfold. See what happens out of that state of boredom. Um, yeah. If this video helped you or it resonated in any way, I'm asking if you can go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It helps here. Share it with any fellow witches in need of a spark. Leave a comment. That helps. Also, while I'm talking, of course, I'm going to talk about my books of shadows. So let me share them. The first one is the Hoodoo Grimoire. This is available at my website, leaptaken.com, also through Amazon. Links are in the description. I'm also selling on a TikTok shop. Probably one of my most popular books on a TikTok shop, by the way. Also, these are very popular on actually all three on Amazon, but definitely on Amazon. They love this one. This is the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch, and this is the Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch. So I sell these, again, Amazon, leaptaken.com, also on the TikTok shop as well. I also have planners if you're interested. They're undated. They're for the year 2025, but it's all downloadable so you can print what you want. So check that out there. I do monthly moon readings. I do readings. You can book me for readings as well. I don't have crazy fees or prices, so check me out, leaptaken.com if you're interested. Again, the link is in the description. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you saying that. And I will keep glowing. That's part of my practice. Also, again, I sort of talked about it, but go over. I mean, I loosely call it my virtual coven, leap taken safe place for witches. It's not like a standard thing or anything. Like, there's no rules other than don't come over there with no nonsense. But yeah, the Discord link is in the description as well. I would love to build that more, and it is building, and I want more dialogue and more conversations over there, not just sparked by me, but amongst everyone else. So go ahead and go there. It is a safe place for witches. I don't play that. Nobody's allowed to get crazy and like I don't, I'm not looking for people to be DMing you, and if they are, let me know. I have had that happen, and I've immediately taken care of it. So like, it really is a safe place for witches. I'm building it to be that. All right, so with that, I'm gonna go. I hope everybody enjoyed this, and I will see you guys on Friday, most likely with a book review. All right, bye.